Everybody might be here taking a look at the third of three stakes races on the Saturday card down at Gulfstream Park. Race number 11 is the English Channel. This is for 3-year-olds on the turf, going a mile and a 16th. Another big field here. Of course, only 12 can run on the turf course here. Let's take a look at this field because 12 are entered. Number 13, Extraordinary, is entered main track only. He will run only if the race comes off the turf. A big field here. Sort of a lot going on. You see the morning line favorite there. Number 4 is Gaffo for Christophe Clement. This horse has won 2 straight starts down here at Gulfstream Park. He's actually run well in all 3 of his career starts so far. He's got a really nice pedigree, and he just feels like the kind of horse who's getting better with each and every start. He is a logical favorite in this race, and I do really feel like he is way the horse to beat in here. The second choice on the morning line is number 7, South Bend. He's a stakes winner on dirt early on in his career. He's won each of his last 3 starts. He's run on the turf. He is stakes placed in all 3 of those races, not able to get up and win any of them, but he's run pretty well all 3 times. I can see him taking money in here. The Todd Pletcher trainee, number 6, Summer to Remember, is 9-2 on the morning line. He's also got some stakes credentials, only 1 win or 2 wins so far for this horse. Both of them a maiden and an allowance race, but he's run okay in his stakes races as well. But there are plenty of other contenders in here as well. It just feels like the kind of race where there's a lot of lightly raced horses that could really take a step forward in here if they are ready to come through with their best efforts. But they're going to have to be, I think, to beat the favorite Gaffo in here. He does seem legit in this race. Let's take a quick look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. They're not predicting a race that favors any particular running style. It's not going to give an advantage to front runners or closers. They have the 6, the Pletcher horse, Summer to Remember, out there on a short early lead. Maybe he will make the front here. He certainly has the speed to get there if that's where Luis Saez wants him. The 1, Express Pharaoh, is a big long shot. He's got speed from the inside. I can see him making the front in here. They also have the number 8, Proven Strategies for Marc Cassie, who has been improving from race to race, and he also has been showing speed in his races, so he should be forward. Even Don Juan Kitten could show fresh speed off the layoff. The 9, Island Commish, he's off of a layoff here. He's got some speed from an outside draw. So we'll see how it all plays out. They do think Summer to Remember will be on the lead. I felt like maybe they would take a tracking spot with him, but we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at some of the contenders. The 2 horses down to the inside. You know, I'm not going to knock those 2 horses. Express Pharaoh is right off of a maiden win in here. He's run pretty well all 3 of his turf starts so far, but he's, in a tough spot here off the maiden win and has to improve. The number 2, Just in the Nick of Time, is, he just looks like he's in way too tough here. He's too slow to win this race as things stand right now. I guess the most interesting thing about him is he's off the claim for Mike Maker, and he's a big price in this race. The number 3, Doc Boy, is a horse who I do think is a contender. I liked all 3 of his first 3 turf starts last year as a 2-year-old. He won the first 2 of those, including the Kitten's Joy down at Colonial Downs. I thought he got a little unlucky in the Laurel Futurity when he finished a close third. I don't know if he was winning, but he was in some traffic through the stretch there. He had to steady late. I think it cost him at the end, and the margin of defeat was so little. Maybe that would have made him 3 for 3 on the turf if he could have gotten clear there. He didn't run well in the Bourbon, and his final start as a 2-year-old, but he came off the layoff in the Columbia at Tampa in March and ran a really good race that day. Fast finish in there, came to the outside after a good trip in the stretch, and he really finished strong to run that field over late. A new top buyer of 79. It feels like this horse really took a step forward in his 3-year-old debut. Joe Bravo's back on for the mount here for Mike Stidham. I think this horse is a contender in here, and he's probably going to be a fair price in this race, so I wouldn't dismiss his chances too lightly. The 4 is the morning line favorite, Gaffo. I do think he's the horse to beat. He's run well in all 3 of his starts. His career debut at Aqueduct, they just took him back over to the inside. He was running way too late in there, but a pretty good finish he put in that race to get up for 3rd. He's won his 2 starts since then. When you go back to his maiden win in December over this turf course, he gave away some early position in there around the 2nd turn. He was in an all-out drive. It didn't look like he was going anywhere in that race. He didn't make any real impression initially, but he stayed very gamely, and then he came with a pretty good kick at the end to just get up. It was actually maybe a deceptively good effort in retrospect, and then he came back last time on March 27th. Let's take a look at the replay of that race, because I felt like this horse took a really big step forward in his first start as a 3-year-old. Outrun last early, but he made a strong move up the backstretch just to get himself into range. He stayed in until they came to the stretch, and then he got clear under Joel Rosario, and he put in a very strong finish, as you can see there. I think the horse that he ran down, Unconquered Lee's pretty good. This horse really finished strongly in that race. I liked that performance from him, and if he can back that race up, I think he's going to be pretty tough in this race. Buy Me Candy is the 5, very lightly raced, well-bred son of Candy Ride. His dam, Bubbly Jane, was a 6-time winner on the grass. She won multiple stakes race. She was graded stakes placed multiple times. She was a good horse. This colt ran well in his career debut at Tampa. Once he got clear in the stretch, I like the way he finished in that race. The horse that won that race, Bitcoin Passion, looks pretty good as well. They took Buy Me Candy to Fairgrounds for a second start. He got a much more comfortable trip that day in a short field, only 5 horses in there. I thought he took a step forward in there, though. He won that race very easily. A little late to change leads in the stretch. Once he did, though, he got away from that field readily. I thought he won that race a lot easier than it may look. This horse has a ton of upside for a very good trainer. The 6 is the Pletcher horse, Summer to Remember. He's going to get a good trip in this race. He's a very tactical horse. I guess my main problem with him is just the fact that I thought he got a good trip last time in the Cutler Bay. Now, obviously, there's no Decorated Invader in here. Decorated Invader is a very good horse, but Summer to Remember got a really good trip in that Cutler Bay, and he just wasn't good enough. I was just really disappointed he didn't get third in that race, because Get Smokin', the horse who did finish third, was right up there, close to or on a very fast pace in that race, and Summer to Remember just never got by him in the stretch. I was pretty disappointed in it. He's got some talent. He could get a good trip in this race. He could easily win. This wouldn't take him if he's one of the favorites in this race. And I sort of feel the same way about the 7, South Bend. Again, he's stakes placed in all 3 turf starts so far, and he's run pretty well in all of them. I'm just not that much of a fan of his. He's a stakes winner on the dirt as a 2-year-old. He's obviously good on dirt, all 3 career wins on the main track. I just feel like he's more of a grinder. He doesn't have that big kick in him through the stretch that you like to see with turf horses. He's more of a grinding type. I think he's a contender in here. I won't be surprised when he wins or runs well. I'm just not going to bet him in this race, especially as one of the favorites in here. Proven Strategies could be a pace factor for Marc Cassie. I guess the positives with him are that he really outran his odds in a couple of Grade 1 races late in his 2-year-old year. And since he's come back at 3, he clearly has taken at least a small step forward. Buyers of 78, 79, and 86 in his 3 starts so far this year. The last 2 of those are wins against Florida bred company. And he's clearly improved. He got absolutely loose on a slow pace last time and won very easily to earn that new top figure. A race that was just slow early and fast late. He had all the best of it in there. I think this is a way tougher spot for him. Don Juan Kitten, the 9, I think he's very interested in here. I got to admit that after he broke his maiden in his career debut at Belmont, I wasn't sold on him just because he was a big price in that race and he just got control of a very rated pace in there. When they finally did come to challenge him, he had plenty left in the stretch and he kicked away. Won easily, but he just had all the best of it on an easy pace and an easy trip. His second career start was in the Awad, and I actually thought he ran well in that race. They took him off the pace that day. He came with a really strong run off the turn to challenge the winner, By Land and Sea, on the lead. He ultimately was turned away by that horse, but he took a real good run at him. And By Land and Sea is a good horse. The horse that ran second, Pixelate, came from way out of it to be second, and he's a good horse. I think Don Juan Kitten is a contender in here, and if he's anything like that 15-1 morning line, I think he's a horse that you want to be using. The 11, a long shot, Fame to Famous, is going to be adding Lasix for the first time in here. He needs to improve to win this. I just wanted to mention him because he has a nice pedigree, and I think he's a little bit underrated. His last 2 turf starts are not great, but prior to that, as a 2-year-old, he did run some pretty good races on the grass, so there's a chance he could take a step forward in here. If he gets a trip, it would be a big price. The 12 is Ever Dangerous. Let's look at his maiden win right now. This is his career debut back on April 2nd for George Weaver. He got a great trip in this race, but he got that great trip because he had the speed to get into that position. He sat right in behind the runner-up on the lead all the way. They took him clear in the stretch, and you saw him overpower that horse to take over in mid-stretch. There was nobody else running behind them in that race, but Ever Dangerous got away pretty convincingly. He was much the best in that race. He earned a solid figure for the effort. He's got it trained by a very good trainer in George Weaver, and he's got a big pedigree. He's by Kitten's Joy. His dam, who won twice on turf in her career, is a sister to 2 Group 1 winners in Europe and millionaires as well. So this horse has a lot of pedigree for a very good trainer, and he's just getting started right now. Post 12, maybe works against him in here, but he showed plenty of tactical speed in his debut. I didn't put him in my mix. We'll put my picks right now. I don't have Ever Dangerous in there, but I'm interested to see how he runs, especially if he's going to be a good price in this race. I made my top pick Buy Me Candy. I like what this horse has shown in his first 2 career starts, and I think he has a lot of upside still, and I really appreciated the fact that he showed more tactical speed last time, even though that was a short field. I like this horse. He's a big price in this race. I'm not way against Gafo, the favorite. I'm definitely going to use that horse, but I put him second to the bigger price, Buy Me Candy. I went 5, 4, 3, and 9 in race number 11 at Gulfstream on Saturday. It is the English Channel. The approximate post time, 5:57 Eastern Time. Good luck.